The defense headquarters have confirmed the emergence of a new terrorist group called Lakarawa in the northwestern part of the country. The Defense Director of Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, disclosed this while briefing newsmen on military operations in Abuja. Arise Security and Defense Correspondent Ferdinand Doha reports.
15 years into the war against insurgency, and the nation's armed forces say new threats are emerging. Since 2009, Nigeria's military has waged war against terror groups like Boko Haram, Islamic State West Africa Province, Vanguard for the Protection of Muslims in Black Africa, the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB and Eastern Security Network, and other terrorist elements seeking to destabilize the peace. At this bi-weekly briefing on armed forces operations across the country, the DHQ says there's another growing threat. Director Defense Media Operations Major General Edward Buba confirms the emergence of a new terrorist group known as Lakarawas in the northwestern part of the country. He says the group is affiliated to other terrorist groups in the Sahel and laments that the lack of information from Lagos have aided the infiltration of the terrorist sect.
The Lakarawas are affiliated to terrorists from the Sahel, particularly from Mali and Niger republics. They began incursion into northwestern part of Nigeria, namely Sokoto and Kebbi states. Now the issue is, when they came in, did the people see them? They saw them. What did they do? They embraced them rather than report them. And what has that resulted to? The people saw them as friends. The same friends they thought were friends have turned to foes.
Meanwhile, the defense headquarters has declared 9 persons wanted for terrorism and violent extremism against the state. The list contains names of some popular terrorists like Abu Khadija, Abdurrahman, Dadi Gumba, Usman Kanin Shehu, Abu Yusuf, and Musa Wa. The DHQ is asking Nigerians to volunteer information that can lead to their arrests.
The pictures and the photographs, the photographs of the persons you see on the screen with their names are hereby declared wanted. They carried out very contact numbers for anybody who cites them are there.
Reviewing activities in the previous month, the DHQ says in the month of October 2024, troops neutralized 481 terrorists, arrested 741 suspected persons, also rescued 492 kidnapped hostages. The DHQ is also encouraging all terrorist elements to use the available windows to surrender or face the military wrath. Ferdinand Doha, Arise News.
The National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, says that the administration of President Bola Tinubu will prove the so-called new terrorist group, Lakarawa, in the northwest of the country, that things have changed, promising to flush it out. So joining us now is Terrence Kuanum, Special Advisor, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation on Public Affairs. Mr. Terrence Kuanum, great to have you. You've constantly been in the trenches before you went to this office, of the Secretary of Federation. This group, tell us the profile of this group. When was it first discovered in Nigeria? What has been going on as regards these group activities? Because it's not a new group.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rufai. So 2 years ago, we were here when the president of Chad was killed, and we expressed so much worry of the activities of rebels in the Sahel. And the fear was that the way the momentum was gathering around our borders, it was obvious that we were going to have them on our hands here in Nigeria, because at a point, the activities of these rebels within the Sahel were no longer threats to citizens, but even to government, because they started attempting to take over governments and we became scared that this might escalate into our country. And why were we so scared? Because our borders were porous, because of the similarities of the citizens of those countries and the similarities of our citizens at the borders, and it will be difficult for our security personnel to be able to differentiate who among these persons were members of our country and are not Nigerians, and XYZ. And so we expressed that worry on this station here 2 years ago, and today we have it on our hands, officially declared by Defense Headquarters. It's quite unfortunate that after so many years of expressing these fears, we are having this thing now that we are thinking that these things is getting better. And the activities of these groups within the Sahel are more complicated than the activities of the situations we've had here, because they are so audacious to the level that they attempt to take over governments completely into their captivity. It's not just about citizens, it's not just about our properties, it's not just about our institutions, it's about the government entirely trying to capture it to be in their control so that they will run governments of this country. And so the National Security Advisor has assured us adequately, the Defense Headquarters have assured us adequately that they are going to be on top of this situation, but we want to urge them that they should be more proactive than just assuring citizens, because we have seen the activities of these people that have killed the president within the Sahel. They have attempted to take over governments. They have collaborated with sections of militaries in other countries, in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and in Guinea-Bissau, to take over government. And so they have that capacity. They are running governments within the sub-region. They have the financial power. They have the personnel capacities to be able to mobilize forces, to be able to threaten the Nigerian state as a whole. And so we urge our citizens to also collaborate with the military to be able to give them intel, because this, what has come to us, is not a joke. And if we play games with it like the way we did with Boko Haram and the way we deal with insurgents within the Northwest, what we have our hands is going to be much, much bigger.
Right. Now let's talk about the role of regional cooperation in this, because, of course, we know that with the undemocratic change of governments in some of our neighboring states has fostered an environment that allows free movement of some of these insurgent groups. But do you feel enough is being done for us to see how we can collaborate on security issues with our neighbors? Although they may be military governments, they're still our neighbors. Do you think enough is being done in this aspect, and what more can be done?
I think the Continental Joint Task Force that the Nigeria is leading within the sub-region should be rejigged, and personnel should be drafted to that area, because what has happened in Sokoto and Kebbi has shown clearly that there is an element of incapacity expressed at that level, and the military has got a new leadership, and we expect that they are going to be on top of that situation. The new Chief of Army Staff was in Sokoto himself a few days ago, and I think he went there to be able to fortify security in that area so that they will be able to comb the Sokoto and Kebbi axis to put this to a halt so that it don't escalate beyond these two states, because it's very important that we control this situation within the areas they are operating now. And this group are a highly deceptive group, because they operate in the first instance as vigilantes. They operate also in instances of trying to monitor people who are not practicing the Islam religions properly, and that is how they try to get people killed, that they are not practicing the religion properly, or they are abusing the religion and XYZ, and that is how they are able to get into communities. Communities get to believe in them, and then they strike. And so their modus operandi is there in the open, and there should be a lot of advocacy for our citizens within that area to know the operations of this terrorist group, because they don't come into your space and begin to attack you immediately. They encroach your space, encroach your religion, and make you believe so much in them for them to be able to strike. And that is why it is always easy most times for them to be able to get up to developing a support and momentum to confront even the state and secure power for themselves. And so we need a lot of advocacy from our security agencies for Nigerians to know how they operate, because we don't even know if outside these two states they might be developing those other strategies in the neighboring states in that area. But with the advocacy, our citizens will be able to know their modus operandi, and they can raise alarm when they see similar activities going on within their neighborhoods. But we believe in the assurance that the National Security Advisor has given us, and we are impressed with the activities of the Acting Chief of Army Staff for being in that terrain immediately these things came up, and we are hoping for the better.
Terrence Kuanum, just I need a clarification from you. I know it was the National Security Advisor that spoke, but there was a sticky point in a submission at that annual customs conference. He said nobody dares Tinubu and wins. He says they have come at the wrong time. Nobody has ever defeated Tinubu. And there are Nigerians who are asking, is this about President Tinubu? When there is a security threat, an assault on the territorial integrity of Nigeria, or the Nigerian state, the people of Nigeria? How come President Tinubu's persona is a subject when we're discussing national security with invasion from elements from within the sub-region?
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Abati. So I assume that the statement was just about an aid of a leader who believes so much in the leadership and direction that he has received from that leadership, because the situation we have at hand is not about Mr. President, but as National Security Advisor, he understands firsthand the support and direction and leadership he has received from the Commander-in-Chief, and maybe because, and that is why he was mentioning the President's name in that. But outside that statement, you agree with me that since the President took over, this is the first time we're having a new crisis on our hands. You recall that we have also discussed here that President Tinubu was a president that's on assumption of office. A situation has not come on his hand like when the immediate past president took over, and then we have this crisis within the northwest of the bandits, in addition to the Boko Haram that he inherited. And so this is the first crisis that is coming up under this leadership, and we have received the assurances, and we hope that it is how we are going to deal with this as a government that Nigeria will assess us, and we have received cognate assurances that this is not going to escalate beyond what we have heard now.
Okay.
And Nigerians, we know that are up and are doing to see what we can be able to do as a government in this crisis.
Well, thank you very much, Terrence Kuanum. We'll see how things play out. But the Nigerian people are more important, on every score.